But today we
And
have no such luxuries.
yep, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I think we'll do just fine.
We're going live here. I'm just getting ready to push it out here to the Twitterverse. And yes, folks, we are live. I'm a few minutes later than I normally am. Not that I'm well, the fact is I'm not normally late. But it's the corona apocalypse and we needed toilet paper. Not to stock up on, we just needed toilet paper. So it's apparently at a premium now. Uh, I lived in North Carolina when Hurricane Fran came through, and the stores there the day after the hurricane were more fully stocked than Walmart in central United States is right now.
I've been hearing the same thing. I'm up in northern New Mexico. It's a little bit quieter here. People are a little more lax, maybe. But yeah, we've been kind of running low here and there too, but nothing that hasn't come back pretty quick. But yeah, people
Yeah,
are after that those after that TP.
they're scared of something. I don't know. I guess this must be like a really heavy diarrhea flu thing that comes through because
That keeps implying it, right? And I don't
yeah,
know what else.
if you don't have this stuff, you're going to be hurting. I'm like, yeah, and bidet doesn't sound like such a bad idea anymore, does it? Because you're going to have running water unless we get a really bad thing going on here. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, we are here with Jack from Ironverse Comics, and this is the first time I think I've talked with somebody who's on their third issue of a crowdfunded comic book. I mean, normally we're just getting started. It's number one, or hey, we're learned from our first one. We're doing our second one now. We're going to try to be better. You are fully qualified now as a professional publisher, sir. So you are going to get much tougher questions.
All right. Well, I appreciate the tougher questions, though I am not self-published. I'm published by Wicked Publishing, so that also there's that degree there. And technically, our first campaign was for 1 and 2. It was just for 2 to get the line art done. It wasn't for anything else, and that campaign exploded to a bunch of other things. So I have ran a couple other campaigns, but technically this is the second for Jack Irons. I don't know. So just full disclosure.
So what is this campaign for?
This campaign's for Jack Irons number 3.
But I mean, is that for like just the line art or?
Oh no, this is for we're doing variants for issue 1 and 2, exclusive variants with some very cool talent attached. We're doing and basically to fund the whole rest of issue 3 because issue 1 and 2's campaign bloomed into colors for number 1. It bloomed into me getting a publisher and getting the right contacts for printing of 1 and 2, and then colored number 2. So that the last campaign evolved quite a bit during. This one is kind of what you were saying is we learned a lot from the last one, and now it's much more professionally laid out, and I know what to do, and I think it's a better presentation overall.
Cool. Now you mentioned you do work for a publishing house, Wicked Publishing, no C. Just WIKID, and I'm pretty sure there's a video distributor when I was in college called that, but I'm not going to go there.
I would not be surprised. There's another Wicked Comics out there too that does have the C.
Oh no. Okay, well they got the C. You're fine. Nobody. The video company probably went under because I'm pretty sure I rented those things on Betamax.
Yeah.
Those videos. Yeah, they were vivid videos. But I digress. Where was I going with this thought? You are under a publisher, which makes me ask, is the Indiegogo the only way to read Jack Irons, or is it for a more advanced, fully packed Jack Irons?
Well, it won't be the only way. It's the only way to help us continue making Jack Irons at a increased rate, at a more, what you would expect from a comic studio or publishing house at a quicker rate. Because otherwise, it's just out of pocket hobby as time goes on, and it's an expensive one. And I'm not. I work in dog hospitality, and I work during the summers. I'm part of a hot air balloon chase crew. So we set up the balloon and pick people up and stuff when they're traveling, all that. But neither of those are exceedingly out of means. It keeps me going, keeps me happy, keeps me healthy and fit. But this kind of work I couldn't fund myself, and so it's really helps again to have and be on shows like this, and I really appreciate your time and your audience's time, whoever ends up watching this or is in chat now. Thank you. And
On the replays.
yeah, on replay too. And it's just it's something I love very, very deeply, and I hope that comes through the art, and it comes from the whole team. I really I believe that, and I hope it shows. I hope it shows.
Now you're the writer. Are you also doing any of the art on this, or is that being given to somebody else to do?
That is given to somebody else to do. I did concepts way back at when I was originally doing issue 1 back in 2015 with the artist. Anyway, I did. I guess those concepts are actually back in 2012. So this has been for a while. I've been working on this, and things have just clicked back in 2018 where we got funded. And but I've been working with my artist Maximiliano Dallo. He's from Argentina. I've been working with him for a good 5-6 years now. We've got a great creative pattern. I think we make some very, very unique comics, and I hope people find them fun and interesting. And yeah, so and I work with a bunch of other. With issue 2, we also were able to fund 6 pinups, and I crowdsourced those from contacts I had made during that campaign, and a lot of bigger names. People might know a little bit more now, like Von Klaus from Monster MD. He actually did line art. The writer of Monster MD did line art for a pinup. Plaster Harris from Narwhal or Earthbound. Anyway, I've worked with a lot of artists, and it's been a privilege. And but Maxie's our line artist, and I'm planning on that till we at least finish this arc, and so is he. So we're working on it.
You were working with all these people before 2018, right?
About 2018 is when we funded. So it was like at the beginning, right. I started working awareness about January. I joined social media. I dreaded that so very, very much. And had I not spent 3 years actually trying to go through official channels, through publishers and such, I may not have gotten a social media. But since that was not a viable option, 2018 was just a good time to do it. And I lucked out, and there was enough awareness and met a lot of cool folks.
That's what I was going to ask was, did you have a path to publishing prior to this crowdfunding explosion that pretty much it existed? There was crowdfunding before 2018. I think the Veronica Mars movie is really what drew attention to it, that you could make a bunch of money really quickly if people really wanted your product. But before 2018, what barriers were you running into because you have a solid product?
Well, we had line art and we had it lettered, not professionally lettered. I did a first draft lettering, which is what you'd expect from a rookie letterer. I thought it was fine. It was not fine, looking back at it at all. But and then we had somebody who looked at that, and we actually did a free digital release. Was one of the things too. In fact, it's still up. People can read Jack Irons, The Steel Cowboy, issue #1 on Tapastic and Webtoons. Actually, it's on Webtoons also. And if you want to see it in black and white, I think our colorist really polishes the whole issue and really breathes life into everything. But it's a very solid read, and it's a good looking line art. So I think it's worth folks' time if they're interested in anything I'm talking about tonight, or are more curious about the campaign and want to know if it's actually worth their time, what the quality is of the reading. That's one of our paths. We try to open up as many entryways to engaging with our content as we could.
Well, let's talk about that content a little bit here, because what I know about Jack Irons, I see this, gorgeous, gritty looking, true grit kind of artwork, and I read Space Cowboy, and I know it's probably not it, but the first thing that pops into my old boomer head is eyes of the hawk, ears of the wolf.
Yeah, a lot of people were stoked. I didn't hear about Brave Star till 2018, but now that I've actually watched a lot of Brave Star. I try to learn off of what vibes I'm giving off of, so I can kind of not pander, but integrate that, since I'm already kind of going that direction. And so yeah, Brave Star's a very interesting one. We are definitely not as wholesome, and we don't end with very the happy child friendly messages, but there's a visual similarity there that I'm happy to foster, except we would be the decaying violent, bloody version of that.
And is that why it's I did read it was a mature reader's book? Is it the violence and the blood that makes it mature, or are there space cowboy boobies in there somewhere that?
No, there's not very much nil sexual thematics at the moment. It's not where the story's going. Romance is even going to be kind of handled interestingly, but the overall it's mainly gore and horrific circumstances, and honestly it's probably better than what most kids are growing up with today, but nonetheless it's better to play it safe and sorry, and it will land better with mature readers, I think. The visuals maybe not, but the overarching product will.
So what kind of a world setting are we looking at here? Obviously, I'm thinking it's got to be future. I don't know if Jack Irons is from Earth or ever having been from Earth or human, even for that matter.
Well, the setting, it's an interesting thing. So we start with all Ironverse Comics isn't just Jack Iron Steel Cowboy. It's a world filled with all kinds of characters, and so we try and build it as such. And so the four antagonists of our universe are analogous to the Four Horsemen, but what they really are physical manifestations of humanity, of a sentient species. So it's not just humanity, of a sentient species atrocities and horrors and the darknesses of their souls. When they hit a certain peak, a certain threshold, they can break these creatures into reality, and then they'll go to further foster themselves or their aspects and try to gain power and become reality. And so that's what has happened to Earth in Jack Iron's time, and it's slowly revealed. Jack in issue 2 kind of actually really fairy tale tells you what's kind of how the Earth got that way, whereas in issue 1 we're just kind of meeting Jack and we're seeing his specific journey through that world and universe. We take that idea, which humanity has very rarely, it's not a common thing in the cosmos. It manifested all four horsemen, and then they got kind of stuck in a stalemate. So humanity stuck with them warring over getting off planet and going somewhere else. And so Jack is an immortal with memories of his past lives. So it's not like it's not like Vandal Savage where he was like a caveman and he's just lived this long. No, he is a cowboy. He was born about 1760 something, and he's lived since then in an immortal body. But as he continued going forward in that life, he remembered more and more of past lives. And so that's kind of the bit, is that it's an immortal man stuck with humanity's horrors both inside and out, and trying to explore how we can get past that. And
so he's born in 1700, but maybe remembers things from 2000 BC.
Yes. In fact, opening scene in issue number 1 is he's remembering gathering crops with his mother in ancient Samaria. It's yeah, I wanted to start on that foot. I really did. I wanted to start with I chose Jack because it's a very common English folk hero name. Jack's supposed to kind of have that gravitas and weight to him as a character, but also be the kind of the Wolverine, the man with no name, the more aloof, harder character that you kind of expect with his looks.
Okay, so with Four Horsemen manifesting and these spiritual type creatures here, this is more than just sci-fi. This is like sci-fi and supernatural coexisting in the same genre. It's not usually these two don't get along well, is what I'm trying to say, and you're finding a way to make that happen.
Rare. It's very rare. We take a big inspiration from Warhammer 40K, which is one of the few places where you can where melding fantasy and science fiction worked exceedingly well to an extreme depth and breadth. So that we're trying to go with that level of depth. But it's a tough one. Jack's a very heady. It's got a lot of themes going on. You could call it fantasy because of kind of the overarching rules, but science fiction plays a large part. The actual philosophical exploration of this person plays a large part, but it's also an action adventure. So hopefully it has a lot for most everybody who will give it a chance. Without losing its way is the other bit. It's very well guided.
So what are people getting in the book, and what is the buy-in rate? Because this is something I talked to very early on when I was speaking with people who were going into the crowdfunding of comics. I spoke with Tim Lim and did an interview with him, probably one of my first ones on crowdfunding. And that was when everything was a buy-in of like $25. And I was like, okay, that's great for a boutique comic that you're not going to find anywhere else. But when issue 2 comes around and issue 3 comes around, you're like, wait a minute, $25 an issue? Now I'm not so sure I want to get to, carry that on, because it just wasn't feasible. So what are you doing with Jack to make it ongoing and make it ongoingly sellable?
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's been a tough one from the beginning. But last campaign we did 2 issues. One was 48 pages and one was 32 pages for that $25 flat rate. We didn't even charge shipping last time because, again, the last campaign was crazy how it worked, and that we actually got everything done, and how fast and loose we had to play on some things, and how everybody was willing to go with it to help make the project happen. It was wonderful. But so that was about $12.50 an issue, and then we threw for the weight and other things, we had 6 pinups made up, and people got a free pinup. They weren't expecting 11 by 17.
Well, that's huge.
But besides that, that's what we did the first time, to thank them for their patience and for helping us so much. This time, if you had backed last time, you don't have to buy in as high. It's a $10 buy-in for the issue, and you'll be getting a sticker and another 11 by 17 pinup. With the option of adding the issues if you want, or to go for what I'm calling the complete package, which is $25 again, but you're getting all 3 issues. Number 1 and number 2 are exclusive variant covers, only available during this campaign. They will not be reprinted by my publisher. So they've got that collector's value, and even more so, in my opinion, we were able to, a Marvel exclusive colorist, people might know Frank Martin Jr., who just did a recent Thor cover. He's actually working the interiors and the covers for the recent Wolverine run, a whole bunch of other stuff. I think why he found us is because he was the colorist for East of West, if people remember that series, which was another post-apocalyptic 4 horsemen Western, which I had no idea about before he contacted me. But anyway, he's coloring one of our covers, which is just wonderful. That's
so he's not so exclusive anymore.
What? Yeah, well, that's the thing. He had to ask permission, and since it's such a low, small press and such, I don't think they wanted to fight with him on it, which is wonderful.
So does Wicked get listed in the Diamond catalogs? I mean, will
No.
Jack Iron show up on shelves?
Will Jack Iron show up on shelves? Yes. Will it show up through Diamond? Unlikely at this point. Diamond does not like small comic book publishers. They maybe not like, but it's not where their income and a headache for them than maybe they perceive it's worth. We've been trying, or Wicked specifically has been trying very hard to get into Diamond and a few other distributors, and it's not too easy at this point. But we do have a comic book store tier on the campaign right now, which gives you gives you 5 of each issue for $60, and hopefully folks can make a profit off of that if they want to have their books in stores, if they want to resell them from the campaign. At the moment, though, no direct line into stores, which is it's a heartbreak.
Okay, well, I think I've theorized this before with a bunch of different people, because you mentioned all the people you worked with in 2018 bringing this about, and where they've gone in their own publishing history, and everybody knows them. That to me is proof of the beginnings of what I theorize is going to come out of this, which is going to be a third, a publishing house. It's going to be all of the crowdfunding people. I don't want to say Comicsgate Publishing House, because there's going to be people who are not Comicsgate and people who are Comicsgate. And damn it, y'all are just going to have to get along if you're going to make a publishing house. So get over it. But I can see that coming out of this. I can see a crowdfunded publishing house that will take care of centralized distribution, where, one of the biggest problems that a lot of the creators are having is, you've got to mail it out yourself. And, now you're getting into the cost of those Gemini mailers and printing the labels and international postage.
That was a big one. Wicked Publishing has handled all these things for me, and they've actually got, 15, 20 titles under their belt now. So they are a indie publishing house. It's just, again, Diamond's not the biggest fan of that. Comic book stores don't tend to look outside of Diamond, so it's just there's that degree of separation that takes time for creators and individuals, and even the publishing houses that are smaller like this, and like a few others. They have to do the footwork. They don't get to passively do this, and so that's what we're working on. That's what we're working on.
All right. Well, you mentioned stickers, and I wanted to just bring up at the moment that for all people watching, Critical Blast has received from Sticker Mule, and if you have to make product that's stickers or magnets, this is an unsolicited advertisement. I just really love the stuff that comes from Sticker Mule. We have these holographic Critical Blast stickers. If you want one, hit us up in our DMs on Twitter at Critical Blast. Just let me know where you want one sent. I'll throw it in an envelope, slap a stamp on it, and it will be on its merry little way to you. Compliments of criticalblast.com.
All right, get that. I've actually been looking into Sticker Mule too. I first handled my stickers through Teespring, I believe, and they were fine. But that holographic option is very tantalizing with the art that we have for our sticker this campaign. So I'm definitely looking into that.
I found Sticker Mule to be much more affordable on all things. And then once you've made an order and you're on their email list, you just get these crazy, stupid offers where it's like, hey, we're introducing shipping bags with your label on them now, and I've got a box of those somewhere. Like, yeah, we'll give you 100 of them for 19 cents a piece. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, that's probably but it's like I got 50 holographic stickers here for close to $20, which is just phenomenal.
Oh, that's outrageous. Yeah.
And they don't have to be circles either. That just happens to be the shape of our on-site logo, but they're cut to shape, so you could have a Jack Irons headshot. In fact, I've already seen on their catalog they've got not only head stickers and head magnets, but like those big I forget what they're fat heads that you put on the wall.
Okay.
That are head shaped, and you could get Jack Irons head shaped things that just full size and just slap it up on the wall.
Very cool.
Sticker Mule, you owe me some stickers now because that's my
Definitely do. Yeah, we're trying a couple other things with merch this time around too. Last time it was just the books, really, and the pinup came out of nowhere because we wanted to thank people. This time, besides the stickers, which I know our print. In fact, you can see the sticker on the campaign page way at the bottom. It shows what the image is going to look like. The other thing we're doing is a full comic book cover-sized metal print of Jack. And I'm excited to see those in person. I've seen people with the trading card sized ones, which we're also doing, but that was for the secret perk for people in the mailing list. So until that goes public, which it will here soon, I might keep that a little bit more secret. But so those are actually more affordable than you think too. It would be nice to bind them as the cover or something like that, but we're just doing it as a nice, solid, durable print, and there's only going to be a limited amount of them, and I'm hoping something lasting like that'll look real good will be enough incentive to help kickstart keep going, keep fuel on the fire of what we're doing.
Now, what do you mean by metal print? Because is that a chromium kind of thing?
No, it's metal.
More of a tin metal.
Closer to tin. It's a little bit lighter, maybe, but it's closer to a tin. It's not chromium where it's kind of closer to paper. It's definitely closer to metal than to paper.
So like Jack Irons, the Steelbook edition.
Yeah, kind of. It's we call it the steel, and then below that we're also doing a figure, which will be available through my publisher for much cheaper than what it is on the campaign. It's only really expensive on the campaign because I'm personally hand painting each one to a pretty big standard. I love miniature painting, and signing a certificate of authenticity, and you also get the metal print, and you get all the books and all that. But yeah, we've got a 3D figure coming too, which is gorgeous. You can see it on the campaign. Moving around. That was the master model for the molds, and I'm excited for that too. We actually sold one already. I'm very, very happy about that because of the price point I had to put them at. But yeah, we're working our merch angles, and I'm hoping they work out.
Well, if anybody wants to see that campaign, it's the very first link below in the description. So we encourage you go hit that link to Indiegogo and check out Jack Irons #3. And while you're in the description there, if you like this channel, obviously we go through the spiel, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications so that every time we're here, you get a little thing on your phone that says something's worth watching out there. If you want to help the channel, easiest way to do it is click the link to criticalblast.com. Just look at our content out there. We are announcing tonight, and we've already done it on YouTube, but we're going to do the article, our annual cosplayer, the bombshell of the year. I'm not going to give that person's name here. You're going to have to go to the website and find it on the article. But that wraps up our best of 2019. We do this every year. We have Crystal Goblet trophies that we give out to everybody. So, Scott Snyder was awarded Best Comics Writer of 2019. Iwan Reyes was announced as Best Comics Artist. This is all voted on by the readers. And, our bombshell of the year, we have a cosplayer every month, the bombshell of the month. And at the end of the year, the readers vote on those 12 to see who's going to be the bombshell of the year. And I'm kind of really proud of the video I put together for this one too. So
check it out, folks.
A little hard on that one. And of course, if you are somebody who likes the merchandise angle of things, Critical Blast is also, we're a publisher too, but we do books. And we have our first hardcover young adult superhero novel, Bulletproof Origins by Stephen J. Mitchell, featuring young Cody Haywood, who on his 16th birthday wakes up to find out that he's bulletproof. And since he's going to live like a superhero, he's going to become a superhero. Problem is, Cody has the attention span of a ferret on pixie sticks. So focusing is a bit of a problem for him, which is going to be getting in his way when the terrorists come for him to try to dissect him, because they'd like to be bulletproof too. And that is pretty much the focus of the first novel, is Cody finding out these powers and coping with them.
Oh, right on. It's a great premise.
Well, there's a second one in the works, and go paperback with this one, which will be soon, is when we'll be announcing the hardcover for the second title. And I almost spilled it out there, and Steve would kill me because he's holding that one close to the vest until it's ready to go. So
gotta be careful.
So let's get back to Jack Irons here. It's not a solo book. That you said there's other characters in it, I'm sure. Is there any branching out? I mean, is this a shared universe kind of book, or is this, it's all Jack's world and everyone else is just living in it?
Oh, it's a massive shared universe, and Jack's just a character in it with a unique circumstance. There's another title also, so if folks were checking out our black and white #1 on Tapas, I don't know if we released it on Webtoons. There's also the Shiftiest and Shadiest Cactus Coyote. That's if you want a gag manga, because it's a gag manga and it's written and drawn as such and reads from right to left. We've got a 40-page free read on Tapas as well, right below Jack, of that manga. It's a lot more fun. It has to deal with a shape-shifting alien with a extra dimension in his stomach and a gambling problem in our weird space western universe. And he gets into a lot of shenanigans trying to pay his debts and be right by himself. And it's another exploration piece where he was one of the Four Horsemen's manifestations, used him as a garbage disposal for a good chunk of time. So he was just shoving bio waste and whatever he wanted into him just to get rid of it. And so that messed with him a little bit. What?
Because it went to another dimension, sure.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so he just tied this cute little thing up and shoved the most awful things you can think of down its throat. And so it's just kind of exploring that. And it's a lot more fun. Cactus has a very different sense of humor than Jack does. Jack's a very dark humor. Cactus is more like he's down on his luck, but he's never going to lose kind of attitude. And I like that a lot. So and that's just the first title that has real legs down, but we have many others in the works. Right now we're introducing them via 8-page previews. The first one is a stretch goal of Jack Iron Steel Cowboy #3 will include an 8-page mini of Tracker Top Predator, who's a major character in issue #3 of Jack, in the back of there, and you get to see the Top Predator's one of his more famous hunts. And it's a wordless comic, so it's a lot on the artist, but I think it can be pulled off great. No reason for the hunter to speak. There's the Golden Monk, which is a super-powered ex-disco fiend who meditated under the World Tree and woke up in Jack's world, the apocalypse, and is trying to restore nature to the world. There's Lady Silverado, who is a child of one of the four horsemen. She's War's sword. He couldn't grow any further in the confines of his own form, so he creates another form that he wants to reintegrate eventually after it becomes stronger. That's her story. And yeah, we're exploring that. I've got great artists attached. Lady Silverado has Carl Rowe of Deathsworn attached. Bruce Patnod, who's done a lot of fan art for Jack, but he's done a lot of other stuff, is attached to Golden Monk. And we actually ran a campaign for Cactus Coyote, maybe 7 months ago. That did not fund, but we did end up funding ourselves an ash can size of that. So that's just kind of sitting and waiting for when we want to release a full color, more comic book style instead of the manga release. And yeah, we've just been diving into this universe for a little bit, and I'm very excited to keep doing Jack. Jack's the first foot and is totally okay with being the only foot in the door, but there's so much more for us to tell with what's been built. I'm very hopeful that it's not going to be the only set of tales we get to tell.
Now, I went to the campaign to get the link again today, and I didn't check to see how many days were left on it and how close you are to funding, and if you haven't already passed your funding level already. I would think you have.
Have not. We're at about 38% right now. So 37. So we're at 3,685 out of a 10K goal. 11 days left with the possibility of extension and a significant extension. I only ran this campaign for 35 days. So closer to 5 days, I'm going to see what it looks like, and I might extend at that point. But
sure.
We're working at it, and right now with the total we're at, it would be silly not to extend because we're almost halfway there. But we'll see. And actually, a lot of the email list backers still haven't gotten, and our timing is crazy. Started right before this virus scare, and kind of now it's now everybody's money's kind of a little bit going different directions and such. So maybe a little extra time might help with that. Maybe it won't. But
they're investing in toilet paper.
Exactly, all the toilet paper apparently ever. That's crazy. I would say that this can also double as toilet paper, but it's a good read beforehand, so maybe consider that.
So you're printing on newsprint then, not the slick stuff.
No, actually, we are printing on the slick stuff, but it's and high quality slick stuff. These are really nice books. Wicked's printer does great work. But yeah, be careful for paper cuts, I guess. Then if you're going to do that with our books.
It reminds me of growing up. My grandparents always say Sears catalog in the outhouse, and I'm sitting here reading the Sears catalog. That's slick, sharp paper. And they're like, well, it was different then. So,
yeah,
how
totally.
did we get talking about this?
Well, it's a pertinent hot topic these days.
My goodness. So, what is the foreseeable future for Jack Irons? I mean, are you looking at permanent ongoing, or is this like, I've got this story for a 12-issue arc that I want to do, or what are we looking at long term here?
If I am blessed to be able to think long term. So right now, short term is finishing these 5 issues, possibly 6 issues, depending on funding and timing and everything. First arc, and then I've done my job. But my real job is an ongoing unlimited series. Our goal is to work these characters together to solve Earth. That's the first problem, and then get them out into space and do kind of a One Piece, Firefly, Justice League kind of combo with Star Trek rules. Go to any planet and it can have weird stuff going on, and they could solve something. And so big plans and unlimited plans, and the goal eventually would be to lease the IP to other writers and creators and such once it's defined enough and wide enough. But that's long term, if that's what we're talking about.
What do you mean by the term solve Earth?
Well, Earth is under the control of 5 factions, the Four Horsemen, and then the alien government that controls New Deadwood, which is the human reservation. In issue 2, we know why the Anu Confederation, the alien government, showed up and protected Earth is because Earth invented something that allowed the Anu Confederation to feed its armies. It invented the Prote machine, which is any organic material, irradiated, poisonous, whatever, can be put into this, and then it spits out waste, and it spits out something edible, something with nutrients in it. And so they kind of protect Earth as a look, we're doing good, we're defending this thing that allows us to feed our people around the galaxy. But they're a very evil, very dark, very corrupt government, and that's another faction there on Earth. So we have to solve Earth. There's a blockade around Earth so that the Four Horsemen that are on there don't meet their other selves and add to that strength. That's one of the main things the Anu will do to stop that. But also there's the Anu Confederation that you got to deal with, who have blockaded Earth, so nothing can get in or out. And so Earth's living on broken technology that they've been using for 50 years since a horrible apocalypse, and they don't have to, but they're being forced to. And so there's a lot of problems to solve. We got to beat the Four Horsemen on Earth, and we have to find a way past the Anu blockade and into space, and then we have our space outlaws.
And there's only one man for the job, and that is Jack Irons, the Steel Cowboy.
Yes, that's the hope. That's the hope.
All right, so 5 more days and probably an extension. If I did the math right, you're $6,500 more that you need to raise up here.
Yeah.
I wish I could look in my wallet and pull out my ID and see the name Ethan Van Sciver on it, because I would start doing the push right now, saying, come on, people, we got to, let's get this thing up. We can get this thing up we can hit this thing to 10K in the next 2 seconds here. Come on, pull your, it's just the magic that he does.
No, that's how it does. And it's the fans too, who go off of word, and they've been disappointed by going off of word. Detective Dead. But there's, I want to earn my audience, and I've been doing that so far very, very well. Personally, I went from 100, from 0 to 4,200 followers on Twitter just with the book and just my self-promotion, and no group politics. I cannot stand group politics. I find them unimaginative. If you're trying to put something in a box, it's because you don't have the time to treat it honestly. So I've had that problem with a lot of this from the beginning, but we've been able to work so far without having to deal with it. So I'm very proud of what we've done, and I appreciate folks like you and like many other live streams I've been on lately, giving me a platform and a chance to reach another audience with what I believe is a very quality and very unique and interesting book, and hopefully eventually set of titles.
Well, we're very glad to have you on the stream. I've had the channel for 5 years. I mean, when we opened up Critical Blast, I reserved the name on every open social media platform there was, including YouTube. And we put out a video now and then, but it wasn't anything live. It was just, pre-recorded things and interviews and such. And I remember our first interview is, obviously still out there. We interviewed Harlan Ellison at a convention, and that was a hoot. Nothing like doing one of your first live interviews with somebody and asking your first question and being told, well, that's a stupid question right there. And on the, yeah, it helped that I knew that was going to be the response.
That would help. That would help for sure. Going in prepared, because that would blindside the heck out of me if I wasn't.
But it's only been like the last year that we've started doing the live streams, as they've started to really come into their own here in this self-publishing industry. And we've met so many talented people and so many creative people. And I'll tell you, even some of the ones, and I'm not going to say who they were, because then they'll think, what, you thought that about me? Where I've looked at the comic, I'm like, wow, that's really going to sell? I don't know. And then you talk to them for, a good 10 to 15 minutes, and all of a sudden you're into the comic and you're like, I want to invest in this. This sounds like fun. This is a good product, and I like these people. And I think, that that's something you don't necessarily get off of Twitter interactions. You get that from hearing people's voices and having actual real-time conversations with them that don't have, 15 hours of break in between the two.
Yeah, no, it's a big one. And so I really appreciate these platforms. There was no small ones last campaign, and there's no small ones now. Any new audience, it can make all the difference. And again, thank you. Appreciate it,
Well,
man. Really do.
again, glad to do it. Hope to see you again on here sometime soon. Maybe
Yeah.
when Jack Irons #4 is ready to come out, we can
Oh
talk about
yeah.
what success lessons were learned from #3 to get from 35 to 10, and watch you guys replicate that.
Yeah, that would be great. We got 500 backers last time and got to $9,200. So I wasn't thinking too hard, and I had to raise a lot of what we were paying our artists from last time. So that was the budget increase. If people are interested, I'm actually paying a good indie rate for my artists.
Yeah.
That was literally the only thing that changed the price totals.
And that's the thing I bring up all the time when I'm talking with writers on here is that, people have to realize when they're crowdfunding that they think, well, if he doesn't reach the goal, then he just doesn't make the comic and, he doesn't make the money. But, 99 times out of 100, these writers have already put themselves in the financial hole because they've had to pay the artist up front. The artist isn't being paid through crowdfunding. He's already been paid, and the writer is being reimbursed through crowdfunding, trying to make his money back and then maybe a profit. And I don't know if that's the case with Jack Irons or not, but I would assume that some of it is at least.
Some of it is at least, yeah. We're working ahead, and we did that with the Cactus Coyote campaign as well. And in fact, technically, we had 24 pages in black and white ready for the first campaign, and I paid that out of pocket. But most of the funds needed to finish the issue, which would be the next 27 pages or so, would be from this campaign. We wanted something to show, but also not get myself in the hole.
Yeah. So for people who haven't done this yet and are maybe thinking about it, they want to be, hey, I want to write a comic book story. What can they prepare for? Before even trying to crowdfund, as far as what a good page rate is that they have to calculate in?
Oh, that's it's such a personal thing.
Yeah, don't tell us what
between the artist
making.
and the work. Yeah, no, I won't be talking specifics, but I mean, you could look upwards to I would say you can. It depends on what quality works best for your work too. But it's all over the place. Honestly, I've seen page rates for line art from decent line art, not great line art, for $45, and great line art can be 125 to 200 to 225 a page, and that's just the line art. Letters are usually pretty cheap. That's usually 15 to 25, depending. If you're like Eric Weathers and you can do a few more bells and whistles and you actually want that, then I'm hoping he's making more. There's colors change too. The rates can be all over the place. If you're fine with a classic old just flat look, then that's probably going to be a lot cheaper. Say another 15 to 20 compared to full detail digital work with a lot of lighting tricks and a lot of figures that need to be distinguished. That's going to be up higher, 50, 75.
So when you're looking at a 22-page comic book and people are thinking, why the hell am I paying $25 for this? And why is he trying to raise $6,000? Because he's already $5,000 into this thing, people, and he's got to make the money back.
Yeah, no, it's a very expensive set of work. I mean, it's just if you're doing it, if you're a very talented individual and can write, draw, color, and even then you still have to figure out printing, shipping, and make sure you know how to do all the legal bits. And that's all of it takes time at the very least. And as they say, time is money.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with artist rates too. You could score a great artist for a very low rate because they need that rate at the time. But that's not going to always be the case either with freelancers. They're going to bump up their rate as their notoriety goes up.
Exactly.
Things like that. I mean, it's tough out there, but I never want to discourage anybody and say that there's an entry fee to doing it. There's not a set entry fee. I'm sure there's an entry fee. It's going to be your time or it's going to be some form of cash. but and mostly both.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid. Like, you're not going to have to earn 10K to make a comic. Like that's not for us. That's the shipping, the printing. That's a lot of other fees. That's
sure.
paying
You got good
this
artists,
huge
you got good
team.
colorists.
Exactly. But somebody else can do it again for free, just off the sweat of their own back.
Yeah, if they are the team, but for somebody who's not, you've got your artist, you got your colorist, you got the actual printing costs, you got to get the supplies to ship it in, then you pay for the shipping costs. And if you've raised $10,000 to do all of that, you're 25 cents in the hole the minute you turn your car on to take everything to the post office.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I shaved off all the prices I could. I don't earn anything off of this campaign. Luckily, I'm published, though, so I would earn anything off of the public printings of issue 3 down the line if we just made the 10K. So that's great. It's still I'm still earning something for the IP and for continuing what we're doing. But you gotta get it done how you can. And in my case, it's just trying to get it done and get the artist paid to do it.
Well, I learn something new every time we do one of these things. So if I do enough of them, maybe I'll actually write a comic book. We have put the links in the description for the books that Critical Blast does publish, but I always have to do the self-plug because I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com, but I am also RJ Carter, who is the author on the Destroyer novels series. So if you ever go out to Amazon.com and you are aware of Remo Williams, the Destroyer, you might be familiar with the movie Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins from 1985. The Destroyer number 151, Bully Pulpit, the Destroyer number 152, Continental Divide, and most recently, the Destroyer number 153, Monumental Terror, are all available on Amazon. My publisher, Destroyer Books, would be very happy if you went out there just on my say-so. But you don't have to go out on my say-so. Remo Williams carries his own weight, and he's just a fun character. So I'm familiar with the writing end of things. I just I've never written I have written a comic book.
I was going to say that's another thing newbies might be a little afraid of is what kind of format do you write a comic in? That was a stepping stone for me, and it was pretty easy for me to rip off that Band-Aid once I saw that basically no two comic strips I've ever seen from two different creators are ever the same. Yeah, they're set up differently, and they're set to communicate with the artist more than with another reader. And it's kind of a trip.
I've seen two different formats that I used to study off of. One of them was almost like a sheet of paper that says, Spider-Man fights the Scorpion who just robbed the bank, and the Scorpion's got Aunt May captive. Whoa. And then the other one was, the Marvel way. And then it was like the one in the back of Watchmen was like, Page 1, Panel 1, upper left-hand corner, there's a spider crawling slowly across the cabinet door. Twilight should be set to about a 45% gradient coming from the upper left-hand corner.
Yeah, and both are equally valid, which is great. I actually use a hybrid method with my artists, so I'll do a rough script, so it doesn't have to be that clean, but it will be panel, page, scene. My artist will then tear that to bits, whatever needs to be done to make it look better, more dynamic, flow better, or if he wants to add something, change the panels, make something a double page spread. And after that, once the line art's in, I rewrite to the line art.
There you go. And this is where, artists like to be paid. I wrote this for a publisher who wanted to get into the publishing business. I said, okay, well, I'll write it on spec because you'll pay me royalties. But you know what artists don't do? Royalties. No. And we had a fantastic artist, Rajiv Golay from Nepal, who does some fantastic line work. We saw his Spider-Man tryouts, and he took the first three issues that I wrote of a 6-issue arc called Hero Club, which was basically X-Men in public school.
Okay.
Well, the public schools had to start competing because every time a kid got superpowers, they got yanked out to a private academy. So the public schools opened up, an extracurricular, the Future Superheroes of America deal. And I had, I thought was a great story. He did the character sketches, the designs, it looked better than what I had in mind for my characters. And then the publisher just simply refused to pay him. Publisher's dead now, so I won't say his name. Yeah. But he used to have a big CBR thread about him that Gail Simone took care of that went on for thousands of pages because he also thought he could run conventions. and not
Oh,
pay people to show up at them.
oh, fun.
I wish I still had those scripts because I'd love to try that again. I've got the script for number 3, but I'm like, yeah, but without script for number 1 and 2, it's just not quite the same thing.
It's not. That's too bad. That's way too bad. But yeah, that's the thing too. That's another thing. If you're getting into this, there's going to be a lot of trust that needs to be earned and a lot of respect that needs to go around. And don't go in expecting to be some kind of diva. It's just not going to work. Or expect that the only way something's gonna get done.
Right.
Either of those things will definitely stand in your way of actually getting things done, or cause problems, as you say, down the line.
You got to learn to work with people that you're working with, and not think that they're working for you just because you wrote the thing.
Yes, that's
accept their input. All right. Well, Jack, it's been a pleasure. We've come up almost on an hour here, and that's usually what we try to shoot for. Is there anything at all in these last few minutes we got here that I've skipped over that you've been saying, dang it, when's he going to ask me this so I can get this information out there?
Not particularly. I just remind folks, check out the campaign page. As he said, link in the description below. Really go through it. I tried my best to both make it an entertaining sales pitch, but also a very informative one. Even, in fact, if you don't even want to read any of that or look at any of that, you can, right at the top of the page, you can find the link to issue number 1 in black and white, so you can just dive in and see if it's if the Ironverse is up your alley. And you can check out my own YouTube. I do live streams once in a blue moon. Look up Ironverse Comics. I do those for updates and a few other things. Sometimes creator interviews, sometimes a crowdfunding showcase. And follow me on Twitter at Cowboy_Steel. That's where the most live updates I do are, and it's the best place to get in touch with me if you have a question about anything. And I'm always happy to help other creators too. So if anybody else is listening, please get a hold of me if you have a question. If I don't know the answer, I almost can guarantee I know somebody who will. I can point you in the right direction.
All right. I will put the link to your channel in that description when I get out and edit the video here. Ezra, thank you very much. Appreciate the compliment. Your sticker went out in the mail yesterday. You should be seeing that arrive anytime now. And I threw something extra in the envelope for you too as well. So thank you for asking for one of our stickers, getting the brand out there for Critical Blast. For everybody out there who came in, thank you very much. Jack, it's been a pleasure again, and we are out. Good night.